Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Lion's Den with Seth. If this is your first time listening in, how you doing? Happy Sunday. Happy Go Lions, right on. But anyway, what we focus on is all things leadership, growth, and development with a call to action from the household to out in the community. So, how's everybody doing? Big Herm, what's going on, brother?
Everything's good, man. The Volunteers beat Alabama.
Yeah.
It starts off a good week for me.
That's good. That's good. That's what I'm talking about. Miss Danny, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. Happy Sunday, everybody. We're gonna get into it, but this is gonna be a very complex, layered conversation that I'm looking forward to having. Yes, it is.
You think so? Yo.
Tell the truth, shame the devil.
Oh my goodness, Jabri, man, what you think, bro? What you think?
It's gonna be a simple conversation, man. I really think so. Yeah, it's nothing complex about it.
It ain't.
You make communicating too difficult. We should just be able to talk, have a good conversation.
Yeah.
In theory,
shouldn't we? Hey, but listen, y'all. I want to welcome a guest to the den right in this conversation and in our congregation. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all welcome Miss Patrice Tate to the building. Yes.
Hello.
How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing fantastic. No complaint.
Yeah, all right, right on. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm native of St. Louis. I would say I've been a nurse for a registered almost 21 years, and I enjoy it. So I am a mother of two. My son is actually a paratrooper and an EMT in the U.S. Army. And I also have a 7-year-old, so I'm pretty busy.
Wow. Congratulations. Hold on, wait. He said time out. What's up, bro?
You said 21 years?
Yes.
Oh, no. You know what I mean? You look like you don't look like you've been nowhere no 21 years now.
For sure. Yes. 21 years. Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Well, listen, y'all, we're going to get right down into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about is learning, understanding, and embracing the feminine and masculine energies. This is not a toxic conversation. We're not shaming or beating down anybody, but hopefully within this conversation, we get an opportunity to learn more about the other side, okay? So I think we're going to do this in a nice, healthy manner. So starting off with you, Big Herm, what you got, homie? What you think about this with the masculine energies?
I think, I'm going to take it back a little bit with this masculine and feminine energy talk, right? Because I think a lot of times, and I know for the sake of this conversation, we're talking about men and women. But women these days, probably even back in the day, carried masculine energy. And there's a lot of men that carry a lot of feminine traits as well. So I don't know if we can just keep saying that this stuff is designated to male or female. You know what I mean? Because it's just not that way when you look at the definition of masculinity and femininity. I know a lot of soft dudes out there that are like that. You know what I mean?
But that don't mean that
I know a lot of dudes that are getting up to make the ham sandwich. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying.
You know what? Okay. So, Miss Patrice, we're going to give it to you. All right. Look, that didn't count. That was an expedition. All right. So,
that was a warm up.
Yeah, that was a warm up. And you see how that went, right? So, yes, it's an energy. So what are your thoughts, ma'am, as far as the energies between men and female, but also the type of energies that we invoke?
Well, I think when I think of masculine and feminine energy, I think of it almost like yin and yang. Like there's a balance that it has to be. And I also don't think that it is gender specific. I believe that maybe our environment or our culture has driven us to believe that if you're a female, then you should have these certain feminine qualities, which, I think is good, but also you should also have some masculine traits as well, or some energies that you can bring to the table to kind of balance everything out.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah, what you think, Jabri?
I'm in complete agreement. I think there has to be a balance, right? There can be a period in life because everything is situational, and we are in positions to use that balance to operate in the position that we need to. So in women's sakes, right, there are positions that they are put in at times where they have to be masculine, right? They have to have those traits to survive in this kind of world. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with that, but they also have to have the balance to understand, hey, when it's time to let those traits go, you know what I mean? Like when you're leaving the work center and when you're coming home sometimes, and then sometimes when you're getting in relationships and all that stuff. And even with men, I don't think there are men out here that are completely successful without having that balance as well, right? Because when you have kids, I don't care what you say. I have two daughters. I thought I was the most masculine thing in the world until your daughter is born, right? And then she needs something.
Right.
You become super feminine in a sense, right? To be able to relate to some of the things that women go through.
And I think, yeah. Go ahead.
Hold on. And when you taking pictures to show off your cornrows, you know what I mean? That brings out a whole other side of Jabri, man. I'm saying, man. I wish we had that picture. It'd been perfect.
No,
Hey,
it would.
we don't need that.
It would. We don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna transition, okay, and just focus on the conversation.
I do have a question, if you don't mind. If you don't mind.
Wait, no, is it a legitimate? Though? Is it for
serious question? Serious question.
All right, go ahead.
Question for Patrice, right?
Okay.
How do you feel like masculine energy when you're around somebody that you feel like is exuding masculine energy? What does that trigger in you as a woman?
Good question.
I think it definitely depends on the situation. There are situations, especially in my job, where I have to be a little bit more masculine. And, before I go on answering that question, we're talking about the traits. I think we should really just talk about what exactly are the traits of being masculine and what exactly are the traits of being feminine. So then we can get a better understanding of how we can, put those together and make it more cohesive. I think when I think about masculine energy, I think about strength. I think about dominance. I think about courage. I think about stronger words. But when I think about femininity, or the feminine energy, I think about compassion, empathy, intuition, creativity. Those are the things that I think about when I think about feminine energy. So depending on the situation or the environment, that depends on what type of trait I need to bring into that situation.
Yeah, good question. So, Miss Danny, so you're back in. I see you. So here's a question for you. How do you receive masculine energy as a woman? How do you receive it?
That's been a long battle for me, very challenging, very difficult. I had a mentor. I was his protege for a couple of years. And he told me that I was going to have to get over that hump because he observed a lot of resistance. And the word that used to always get me kind of hung up was submissive. Just being submissive to male energy has always been very difficult for me. So if I'm honest, it's something that I'm actively trying to work on. But as a solo parent, a person not in any relationship, not around a lot of male energy, sometimes you can get very jaded and stuck in your ways. So it's a struggle for me if I'm being open and honest.
Wow. What you think about that, Patrice?
I think for some reason, when we think of feminine energy, we think of passive or submissiveness, kind of to piggyback on what Danny was saying. And sometimes when you put those negative words on something or the connotation, it kind of means that you're thinking that person is less deserving of something because they are submissive or passive. Basically, they don't have autonomy, or they can have a lack of respect for themselves or the situation. But to me, when I think of using words like passive or submissive, I think that it's just basically unhealthy it's like an unhealthy power that's used in the dynamics of a relationship that you have with someone.
So going back to what Patrice said about the traits, if you listen to those actual traits of both qualities, there's nothing bad within any of that, right? And I think we all need to be able to reach inside our tool belt to be able to pull those out when needed. And I think where we go wrong is when we're operating in something just because we are a certain gender, right? We think we're supposed to be a way, and we're operating in a way that you don't want to show or a perceived weakness to what she was saying just a second ago. And I think we get in trouble when we do that. And so what Danny was saying is hard to, for her, she struggled with that. And I think a lot of people struggle with being put in situations and having to be in that role where they're kind of operating outside of the balance that they, you know what I mean? They don't have the balance in the first place. So they're operating a role that keeps them off balance. And when the time comes for them to actually be balanced and in alignment with someone, they're not sure how to get back to that alignment.
So I think that makes sense. So Herm, let me ask you this. How do you deal with feminine energy? Like, because, and the reason why I say this is outside of our daughters, okay? It's outside of that, right? Because they're still maturing into that. But I mean, no kidding, a woman, or hold on, let's be honest. Let's say a man that has tapped in to that part of himself, okay? And he's not quote unquote soft. However, he has a level of caring, has a level of compassion that it may be foreign, you know what I mean, to you. So how do you, at this age, right, at this age that we're at right now, how do you kind of pick up on that and view it in the stage of your life?
Definitely going to answer that. I really want to get to what Jason was just talking about.
Well, who?
Jason, what he said, many confuse leadership with controlling. Yielding to wisdom isn't a bad thing, right? You mind if I address that real quick, Seth?
No, go ahead.
All right, so Jason, I agree with you on that, right? But if somebody continues to see your leadership as controlling, then maybe you need to throttle back and figure out where you're going left at. You know what I mean? Because if you're executing leadership in the right way, nobody should look at you as you're being controlling. You know what I mean? That is not the energy that you want to put off. Like if I'm trying to display the role, act in the role of a leader, and somebody looks at me as controlling, there's something that is not connecting there with me and that person. Either that person doesn't trust me to lead, or I'm going about it the wrong way. You know what I mean? So that's something you got to look at when you say that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when somebody comes at me with feminine energy, or that's what they lead with, I need that around me. You know, I have those traits as well. I'm a nurturing person as well. You know, so I think that you utilize, if it's in a work environment and stuff like that, you know, you utilize those traits of people to you know, to the best of your ability. Is how I look at it. I don't look at anything that as negative.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, listen, we want to give it to the ladies. So, Danny or Patrice, what question do y'all have for us, or any men that's listening right now? Right. So any questions that you may have, because normally it's men talking about feminine energy and all that. Right. Or sometimes women are talking about toxic masculinity. But what about the healthy masculinity? What does that look like to you? Or if y'all have any questions, you know, for us or for the audience.
That's good. So I think the conversation a lot of times about femininity and what that looks like, it's deduced down to roles and responsibilities. It's like a woman who is feminine, she's usually supposed to be cooking. And again, deducing down to what they're supposed to do. So I don't know if you guys already talked about this, but what is your definition? I know we have the literal definition. We can rely on Webster Dictionary. But what exactly are you guys insinuating or implying when you say you expect a woman to be feminine? I guess in each and every, all three of you guys can answer that. That would be my question.
Who want to take it? Herm? Hold on. Go.
All right.
Yeah, unmute.
Let
Okay.
Jabri go.
Go ahead, Jabri.
All right. So when I expect someone to be feminine, I would just say a special someone in my life, right? So previous to this, I've been single for like 7 years, right? And I just recently found somebody that's pretty dope that I truly enjoy, right? And so when she came into my life, I had a bunch of different ways and a bunch of different standards that wouldn't allow me to see certain things in certain people. And so when she came in, I realized the energy was different because I was acting different. So when I expect someone to be feminine, I just want to see a culture of loving, of a culture of understanding. It doesn't mean you have to have you don't have to have masculine tendencies when it comes to certain things. Again, everything's situational, but when it comes to me, I want to make sure that somebody is caring. They are supportive. They are there. They are present, and it doesn't have to look a certain way. So I think we get caught up in all these connotations on social media about certain things, and we hear so much toxic stuff, right? That when somebody actually comes in with traits that you aren't really that you don't really define because they don't really talk about them on social media, or the algorithms aren't really picking them up. It's really it's an energy that is kind of, I wouldn't even say it's unexplainable, but it's something that is very tangible based on how it makes you feel.
Okay, good answer. Go ahead, Herm.
For me, honestly, I never thought about requiring that of anybody. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I need somebody to be feminine. I need my woman to be feminine. That never really was a thought that crossed my mind. What really for me and my wife is just I enjoy spending time with her, whatever energy that is. I'm not looking at her to be soft or any kind of way. I'm just looking to enjoy my time with her.
Okay.
And I guess with her, I look at her as somebody that always presents well, always cares about appearance and stuff like that. Speaks well. Things of that nature is kind of more what I look for. So I don't know if that's feminine or not, but it just worked for me.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I would say for me, it's a holistic approach, right? It's not about what just at home. It's about everywhere at work. It's about outside. It's everywhere. And so what I look at honestly is how am I growing in the situation with that type of energy, right? Because if I'm already embodying, so we all embody both, right? But more than, the other. So if I have extra, masculine, what am I able to do with this now feminine energy that's supporting what I'm bringing to the table, if that makes sense? What I'm supporting at home, what I'm support, or, how are they supporting it at home, at work, or within a community? And it's like, wow, that works. You get what I'm saying? Because if it's not there, right, in a healthy manner, and that's the deal. If it's not there in a healthy manner, then I will have to overplay certain things. You know what I mean? I have to be extra to try to compensate. But when I don't have to, and I can operate in my own element, and then that energy is compensating it in a good manner, that's when I can tell it's on point. It's on point. So what about you, Miss Patrice? You got any questions or any thought processes? And shout out to everybody that's watching right now. Hold on. Shout out to everybody. I see you, Subs. I see you. He says fear of the individual who thinks that a person that is strong and showing great management skills through organization and relationships, seeing that woman and man for whom they are. Yes. And Jason says leadership also requires discipline, emotional intelligence, and mature manner. Absolutely. But go ahead, Miss Patrice. What you got, ma'am?
I want to kind of go back to what I heard Herm say when he was talking about feminine energy. I just want people to not reduce feminine energy to the surface level. When you think of, sometimes when some people think of feminine energy, they think of girliness, that someone has to be very girly or graceful or dainty or, prissy or whatever, I mean, it's just a superficial thing, or she has to look a certain way or carry herself a certain way. But when I think about feminine energy, I think of it more of a powerful force that causes transformation, that it's more spiritual, because I can say through life experiences that I was more masculine at times, because that's how I was brought up, to be more masculine, because I wasn't going to have the family support that I needed down the line. So the way that I was raised was to be more, to have more strength and to be more brave, more so than to be, to rely more on my intuition or, other characteristics. So I just want to make sure that we're just not minimizing how powerful that the feminine energy can be, especially when it's intertwined correctly with the masculine energy. That's very important, because neither one is inferior to the other.
Mm. Hey, I guess she said what she said. No, I mean, no, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. I mean, but and also too, I think that it's a knowledge based thing, right? Because
Sure.
people don't know what they don't know, and we are so it's nature, right? Sometimes we have been brought up in a certain manner to say, hey, this is what you're going to fit into no matter what, right? And this is what it looks like when you're doing it right. However, they're not putting into consideration the other side. There is another side, and there isn't, to your point, a higher or lower. They're both forces, right? But it's about how they're being used. So no, that makes sense. What else we got, y'all?
Yeah, I think with feminine and masculine energy, right? Those are the only two energies that could properly speak to each other to get things done, in my opinion.
Mm.
You have two masculine energies going at each other. Normally it's about, you know what I'm saying, who's more dominant over the other. But when you're talking about masculine and feminine energy, it's not about dominance. It's not about submission, really. It's about communication, and it just works to me. So I don't think either one is inferior to another. I don't know. Where did I get that from, Miss Patrice?
Well, when you talk about people's concept, which everyone has their own concept of what feminine energy is and what masculine energy is, I have heard the concept that, being feminine, because can be seen as being weak.
Right.
Mm.
So, because it does have those softer traits. So when you're considered to be weaker than another individual, sometimes the word inferior comes into play, where I'm not saying that it is, but those are the types of words that can be used because it's seen as a person is of lesser value, kind of.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Jason, you one of them. You one of the soft guys I know. But anyway, I'm just playing, Jason, before you come try to find me, man.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But no, I don't look at femininity as soft at all. I think you got to be strong to be that kind of nurturing person, because honestly, when you think about when I think about femininity, a lot of times they put themselves on the back burner to tend to other people's needs. And that's the nature of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a strength as well, to be able to sacrifice yourself to be able to propel someone else, right? But I really want to talk about environmental, right? How we were raised and some of the misconceptions that we have when it comes to certain aspects of both energies, right? Because I know, and I'll just say I'm Black. in our household, in a lot of Black households, as men, right, we're taught to not have any of that stuff. Push all that stuff to the side, whatever you feel, you know what I mean? And I don't think it's a necessarily feminine energy that they're pushing out, but I think it's a fear that they're trying to avoid to make sure that a certain lifestyle isn't presented to you. And so I think when a lot of men grow up, they have a fear of feminine energy because they don't understand it. They were never taught how powerful it is and how well it can be utilized in your day to day. And so that's why you have a bunch of broken men out here trying to portray themselves as men, but don't really have an idea. So they're aggressive, they are loud, they are way too forthcoming, instead of understanding what it means to have that balance, to possess both of those energies.
And you know what? Even to that, man, even to that, there's some men, and shit, I was included. If you didn't even have the real man around that understood what that means, then therefore you're going to be taught crooked anyway. You know what I mean? So I can't even, I wouldn't even know what a woman, quote unquote, look like if she came up and hit me in the face. You get what I'm saying? Because I was never taught. No, you get what I mean? If you were never taught, you know, and also to embody what it means to truly be a man, not a boy, not a male, but a true man. You get what I mean? It's so different. So no, I hear you with that.
Look at what Darren asked. Darren asked if go up one more to his question about men crying. You know what I'm saying? Men showing tears, you know, is that feminine? If a woman goes to the gym, is that masculine? You know, and that's how a lot of men or a lot of people are conditioned to think that, you know, again, go back to Patrice's point, a lot of superficial ways of thinking about what masculinity is and what femininity is.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with masculine or feminine energy. To cry.
But a lot of people say that though. If you cry, you're a punk.
No, I truly I agree. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just dumbfounded on how people think crying isn't just a natural emotion, right? It's something that actually happens.
I mean, think about this though, man. Think about our background, and y'all know, right? Our career. There's certain things you weren't supposed to say. Meaning, if you were dealing with things, you get what I'm saying? It would be negative on your career, right? It would show negative, you know, at home. It's like all types of things. It would cascade into things that will show as though you're not able to take care of your look. If you couldn't do your job, you can't take care of your family,
right? Period,
point blank. So therefore, you have to mask things. You see what I'm saying? So in essence, a man saying, "Hey, a man ain't supposed to cry." It's not. You're not supposed to cry, but you're not supposed to let something hold you down to the point where you don't have the level of resilience to get up and take care of the things that you're supposed to do. But if a man doesn't have that emotional intelligence to articulate that, he can only say a man ain't supposed to cry. Well, tell me why. Or tell me when I am supposed to. You see?
I got a question for the ladies.
Well, I want to go to the environmental really quick from a female's perspective, Herm. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
I just think that also, you know, men who see the female side, we get judged and prejudged for being very hard. But a lot of us, I don't think it's a choice. It's just survivor mode, like being in survival mode for, you know, a lot of us are single parents, and that's just how we have to show up every day. So also understanding from our side, you know, seeing my mother be a single mom for 30 plus years, we'll say it's been 30 plus years, but, you know, at least from to adulthood. So seeing her as a single parent, just have to be very mindful about her energy, guarding her emotions, being very hard. You have to always think about what's going to be next. You don't have time to really sit in your feminine energy. So from a female's perspective, I don't think that we want to be hard all of the time. And I think that's something that's always pushed on us. I think the reality is if we could be soft, if men showed up more, if they were more supportive in certain areas, then I think you see more females lean more into that, their feminine energy.
So I got a question for you, Danny, real quick. And I agree. I tend to agree with some of what you said. When you're thrust into those roles and have to operate as such, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. My question to you is, when the opportunity presents itself to take yourself out of that role, how do women actually receive that, right? Because in my 45 years, right, I don't see a lot of women receiving that well. The transition is very tough for women to actually operate outside of the role that they actually get comfortable in that role. They say they want to be feminine, but then when it comes a time where for them to be feminine and for them to operate in a role that allows them to be soft, allows them to be their genuine selves, it's a very, very difficult transition to come to be there.
So what's the question though? Because I think that it's a switch. That
I don't think it's a switch.
No, but it is, but it's something. It's not necessarily a switch. It's a dimmer, but that has to be allowed. Same thing for a man. I have to be able to wrap my mind around that there is a feminine energy that wants to operate in that space.
I think that was more or less my question. Is it something that you're constantly working on to ensure that you have the balance throughout? Because I believe, and I see a lot of women losing themselves in their masculine traits. And some of those traits are good because they have to operate and they have to survive. But I just don't think they understand that they've actually adapted those and they've gotten comfortable in that. So my question is, how do you get to that point where you can find that balance again when the time is needed?
This is why I think singleness is such a special era for anyone who gets to experience singleness. And when you do experience singleness, you should be actively working on yourself. You should be like working towards chipping away at all of the life, chipping away at all of the stuff that you've kind of built up over the course of the years. So you should be able to, through that therapy, counseling, talking to some girlfriends, asking people to tell the truth about how they see you. And then after that, you can start to say, okay, I think I'm ready to manifest a relationship. But I think it does take stages. It's not so much a switch. You're going to have to evolve through the process. And I think being open and willing. So men should give us grace as we're going through that transition. And I think the more that you curate a safe space for us to feel comfortable and disarm us, I think then you'll start to see, okay, I can relax. I can take a deep breath from a woman. Oh my gosh, you guys, my mother's in the background and she wants to chime in so bad.
So we'll give her a minute. And what you think, Patrice? What you think about that?
Well, I will say about my experience with the feminine and masculine energy is growing up. I had no clue. I mean, I didn't really understand what it was, and I'm still understanding what it is now, but it wasn't something that was in my vocabulary that I was, I'm full of feminine energy, or, you're not giving off the right masculine energy in my 20s and, in my 30s. But now into my 40s, now I've had experiences where I can say that, feminine energy to me is more about healing. That has to be a component of it. And considering that I've gone through divorce before, it definitely has helped me to, with the transformation that I need to be healthier, to have clearer thoughts, to trust my intuition, to be more creative, to have better connections, deeper connections with people. I've noticed that, once I embrace my femininity, I'm able to set up boundaries. I'm able to say, hey, you're not going to push me past my limit, because then that's what makes me uncomfortable. And sometimes that is what triggers those masculine traits that I don't want to portray. So, that's what I think about it.
That makes sense. All right. So Danny, go ahead. Bring your moms in. What she got? Hold on. You're muted.
I know, because I had to yell for her to come back.
Oh, okay. How you doing, ma'am?
Hey.
All right. How you doing? Welcome.
Her shirt on.
Yeah, I see she got on the Army shirt. We ain't gonna hold it against you. But what you got, ma'am? What you got?
Well, that was a very good question about how to turn off that energy, that masculine energy. And then I think Danielle spoke to it a little bit when she said, we have to be. It is a mindset. When you've been operating in a certain mindset for so long, it's not easy to turn this, to now you in a new mode. We desire to get married, right? We desire to have a partner. We desire to have somebody we can lean on and depend on. But we've been in a certain mindset for so long, it's not easy to turn that thing off. So we might immediately say yes to the invitation of a wedding. we'll say yes because we desire that, but then when we get in the midst of it, it is very hard to turn it off because we've been living a certain way, thinking a certain way for such a long time. But we have to do our very best. I'm 30 plus 38 years in being a single mom. I don't know nothing else but to take charge, but to be in charge, just to do what I need to do. But when you desire for change, you have to train yourself in that area, right? You got to read books. You got to go to counseling. Talk to your partner, actually, and let them know this is where I'm failing at. This is where I need to be built up, the area that I need to be built up in. And I think it can happen gradually, but it's not a switch that we can turn on and off because I don't know nothing else but to be in charge.
Well said. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. And so I really do think that, speaking about that, and I'll give it back to you in a minute, Jabri, one thing that she said that was hit the key is you have to have the desire to want to accept that. And look at your surroundings, okay? Are you surrounding yourself with individuals that are operating in that space to help you? Right? Because sometimes our friends, look, not everybody in the boat is rowing. You get what I mean? Not everybody is in a healthy relationship. So why are you really leaning on them for that type of information? Right? Or if you want to bring in a man, want a man to be a part of your life, or even a woman in your life, why are you listening to someone that has not went through that transition to help you, to help coach you, to help mentor you through that space? So thank you for that, ma'am. I appreciate it. Jabri, what you got, bro?
Hey, I think it's there's some. I want to foot stomp on something Danny said about grace. I think we do need to practice giving people grace and understanding. I think when you're transitioning over and you've been single for however long and you want to bring somebody into your world, and you can work on yourself as much as you want. But I think when that person comes into your life, and the situation is right, it's healthy, is thriving, there's going to be some things in you that, regardless of how hard you worked on yourself, that person's going to bring out of you, only because they're making you better, right? And so I know people will jump on people and say they're not feminine, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, and they're still operating like they were, you know what I mean? Like you're still being masculine. It's only because they're bringing out something that they're trying to extract some of that stuff out of them. And I think we get real caught up in immediately judging somebody because of how they had to be instead of trying to see who they are becoming. So yeah, I think that's something to think about.
All right. What you got, Herm? Look like you was about to say something.
I have a question for everybody. Right? We're going to talk about myths again, right? Or myths, or it could be reality. All right. That women operate from a place of emotion and men operate from a place of logic. What do y'all think of that statement? You know what I'm saying? Because you hear it all the time, that men aren't supposed to react in their emotions. They're supposed to react logically because women react out of emotion. Do y'all find that to be true?
Okay. Well, look here. I'll make mine quick because I see a lot of smoke coming out of people's ears. So
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm looking at everybody. I'm seeing people like, I don't know. All right. So look here. This is what I would say. If I'm bringing something to the table logically, and you have something that you want to bring to the table, I have to realize that everything has balance. So I have to be open enough to consider what you are saying. All right. And or flip it. You might have you may say something that's extra logical, but then I need to help to compensate on the other end. So there's not one-sided answers. There's a two-sided answers, right? For one destination. So in order to do that, you have to be open to the other side, I believe, because it's considering the whole, the whole situation. So that's my thought. So what you think, Patrice? What you got?
I'm sorry. Can you ask the question again?
So the question is, people have said that women operate or think through emotions, make decisions based on emotions, but men are supposed to think or make decisions through logic. Do you believe that to be true?
I think that's a word play. Just because I think when you think of male or masculine energy, you think of leadership, and when you think of leadership, you think of strategy, and you think of those stronger words. And when you think of a woman being more feminine, you think of those softer words like nurturing, being emotional, loving, caring, all those types of things. So I think it's a little bit of both. Women are emotional because we are um, the caregivers, and we're expected to be emotional towards our children and our families and our partners and things like that. So I think just my perspective is that I think yes, I would say yes, we do tend to be more emotional than what we should be in a lot of situations. Yes.
Go ahead, Danny. What you think? Oh, you ain't ready? You want to pass?
I'm ready. So back to that comment I made earlier about when I was kind of a protege to my mentor at the time. And I'll tell you guys, and this is me coming from the masculine energy, okay? This is me coming very hard. But I always thought that men were acting more with emotion and not logic at all, because they will make a one split minute decision that will dismantle their entire household. From the time Adam and Eve were together, Adam made a bad decision that affected
Hold on,
everything.
wait a minute. Know the story first. Know the story first. Let's go back.
He was manipulated
by who?
By Eve. But it's up to him to be steadfast and anchored.
Wait. You say he? Oh, wait. All right. You know, no, we ain't gonna touch it. Pass. Go ahead. Pass on you.
I just always feel like men make poor decisions that are not very logical at all, and that's why I have a hard time to submitting. Now I understand a strong man, a good leader, he will make right decisions, but so many times a man can make a decision that will alter the entire household. And I feel like that's a lot of times based in emotion. So the whole notion that men are or can be more logical, I'm like, every story I hear, men are out here making emotional decisions that impact an entire household.
Right. So I think I get what you I get what you're saying, but remember what we talked about earlier. It's a difference between males and men, just like it's a difference between girls and women. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, so if there's a man making a quick decision that can jeopardize their whole household, that's not a man, clearly, right? That's apples and oranges, in my opinion. Well, but what you got, Jabri? What I see your face, Jabri. What you got?
Yeah, I was scrunched up a little bit. Yeah, I tend to refrain from using the words all and never.
Yeah,
because when you start bunching everybody up, it kind of makes your statement seem untrue, and I feel that people make bad decisions, right? People are emotional, and so do women tend to use their emotion a little more than men? I only think you see it more because they are just emotional, right? And they've been taught to use their emotions in a way that is more on display rather than men. We hold it in, and trust me, if this man is making a bad decision based on losing his family, he already thought about that. He's willing to take that risk. I'm not saying that he's doing anything good, because I promise he's not. But I wouldn't say that women are more emotional. I just think that when they are able to display emotions, a lot of women can relate to that, and that would cause them to say that, hey, women are just emotional and men are just logic. Because I can find a lot of cases where decisions that are made aren't very logical at all, right?
For real, yes,
indeed. So I just leave it at that. I'll stay off the Adam and Eve thing, because to blame Adam,
that wasn't
they're
good.
both to blame.
That wasn't good.
To listen to his rib, that's not right.
Hey, can you put up Jason's last comment? Now, when you say we do dumb things because we lack self-discipline, that means we're reacting in emotion. If you lacking discipline, then you're reacting in emotion. That's why I don't believe that, like Jabri said, that the word all and everybody. I had to come to realization that I react emotionally to a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I never believed that to begin with. I just thought it was interesting that people thought that way. But then when I look at the blotter and see all these men in there for assault, like, you know what I'm saying, domestic assault, I'm like, well, that can't be true, because you'll never be logically thinking that this is the logical thing to do, to assault somebody, you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason.
And, you know, and it goes back to the other point, right? We're talking about individuals making decisions on lack of discipline, right? A lack of emotional awareness, right? And intelligence. We're talking about, and that's men or women, right? Let's get that straight. So if we're having conversations or there's a decision to be made, it takes two individuals for that balance, especially if they're in your life, right? If you feel as though my way is the right way because it only makes sense, think about it. That means you're only considering your side. And that means the other person, you're not considering that other person's perspective. And that might be something else that you need to make a full decision, a really logical decision. And that is considering everything. So yeah, I would just say that as far as the emotions go. But yeah, Danny, so what else you thinking, man?
So I want to ask, because we're coming to the tail end of the conversation, just because you guys said this was going to be an easy conversation, why do you think it is? It has been. But why do you think it has been such a challenge to come to some type of mutual understanding? Because these are conversations that we hear. People are writing books about, you know, Steve Harvey, what did Think Like a Man? You know, we know people write books about it. These are topics that people have. Why is the conversation still prevalent today? I would imagine it's because we still don't have a mutual understanding. So what is the static?
I would say the reason why we're still having this conversation is because people are different. You know what I mean? People are different. People just going to think the way that they want to think. But I guess the goal is to consider what works for you. All right. What do you think, Ms. Patrice? Why do you think we're still having these conversations?
I think that we're still having these conversations because we haven't done the work. We haven't done the necessary work to actually look in the mirror and see that self-reflection and come up with the reasons as to why we are doing some of the things that we are doing, and why are we responding the way that we are responding. I think that once we realize that masculine energy and feminine energy is what creates the human experience, and it creates the bonding that we all need, until we realize that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be something that we are going to continue to work on, and it's going to continue to be challenging until we get a better understanding of what each individual needs, and then how we can all make it more cohesive, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, so I heard somebody say before, hurt people, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times when we having these conversations, we're speaking from a place of hurt, and we want to be heard. And the experiences that we've had are still hurtful to us. Like Patrice said, we haven't done the work to heal ourselves. And so I said the conversation should be easy, right? Because it's to be able to have a conversation and communicate and be heard it should be an easy process. And I think we have 5 mature adults here that would like to hear each other and talk to each other in a way that's going to allow us to understand one another and propel ourselves forward. So that's why I said the conversation will be easy, because of that reason. Are we always in forums where we can have these conversations in a civil manner and nobody starts chopping each other's heads off? Absolutely not, right? But I think this is one of those sit downs to where we can talk. We won't be cutting each other off. Just like I cut Herm off right now. My bad.
No, you did.
But
I was about to say so.
But no, we can definitely have these conversations and be heard and not speak from a place of hurt.
Right. I agree. And look, as long as we bringing up Bible verses, we want to make sure we quote them correctly. But anyway, go. But now go ahead. I'm joking. Go ahead.
You know what you said, Seth. you know, somebody said everybody, we're all different. You said that, right, Seth?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, we've always been different. Here's what I think the difference is now, man, the engagement of social media. Social media stirs up so much stuff, and something Jason said earlier about these movements and propagandas and all this stuff. Yeah, some of the movements came with the right intention. You know what I'm saying? Because certain things definitely had to change. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be sexually assaulting people and that be okay. You know what I mean? But then these movements turn to gender wars. You know what I mean? Where everything now that a man do is wrong, or you know what I'm saying? Now we look at our women as too aggressive and loud. You know what I mean? And then that's the picture that we paint of each other, and then we're constantly at odds and fight each other. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know, this majority of that stuff come from Black folks. You know what I mean? That social media just pitted us against each other to where now we're constantly at each other's eyes trying to pick out the negative in each other. Because we've always been different. We're supposed to be different.
That's right.
You know, but I think social media has been the game changer as far as why relations are the way they are.
And now I get you. And you know what? I will add that to what Jabri was saying, right? Hurt people, but also individuals that's on the path of healing have different conversations.
Mm-hmm.
They have different conversations, right? So to your point, this is an easy conversation, right? Because you have to be able to know where you are to be able to speak to holding yourself accountable. So that's what we're going to do. What are you all going to do in your own energy? Okay. What are you going to do this week in your own energy, right? And not to be extra masculine, extra feminine. We're removing the connotations, but what are you going to hold yourself accountable and do this week? And that goes for everybody that's listening right now. What are y'all going to do? Okay. What are y'all going to do this week? Uh-oh. Crickets. Look at you.
I was waiting. So I tend to be more intentional about the things that I do, right? I've always been pretty mindful of who I am as a person, but I think the older that I've gotten, I've realized that if there are any gaps in my life that I need to mend, I try to do those. So if people come in my world this week, or if I think of anything that needs to be healed or fixed, I'll reach out to people, or I'll be more intentional about praying. I'll be more intentional about reading. And so I try to find self-help books that helps me see a different perspective other than my own. Because on my check, I like to not be to go in any room and think I'm the smartest person. Right. I want to always be able to learn something in every room that I go in. So just having that mind frame this week to be able to be better for myself.
Well said. What about you, Miss Danny?
I think it would behoove me to go back and try to assess, like, what are my triggers? Although I think I've explored that, I don't think I was. From this conversation, I know I'm still a little triggered. So I think it would be good
just little.
to go back and reassess and find out what those triggers are. Just a list of some triggers that I think that I'm still battling and grappling with.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. What about you, Herm?
Well, I think I'm going to stop opening the door for women, man.
All right. So that's a wrap. Anyway.
I'm just saying. Why should I, you know what I'm saying, assume that they are not strong enough to open their own door? You know what I mean?
I can't say
no. I'm just kidding. I'm nothing like that. You know,
you're everything like that. But go ahead.
I'm the perfect gentleman. But no, what I will do is be mindful of, you know what I'm saying, when I get in engagements and conversations about, somebody said, I think it was Jason again, said people just want to be right. You know what I mean? And I think I do have a big problem with that. You know, I want to be right because normally I am. And so
see,
I go at it like that. So, but for this week only, I'm going to give people a break. You said one with this week. That's all you said.
That's a good start.
No, it ain't.
What you asked me?
Go ahead, Patrice. What you got, ma'am? Jesus Christ, help us out.
I mean, this week I'm just going to focus on how powerful that that both of the energies are, and just making sure that I have a good balance between the both of them, not be too feminine or too soft or too masculine. But I do believe that in this point in my life, I have entered my soft era. And I'm happy to say that, because I've been through so much in my life, that I have entered my soft era, and I'm not going to accept anything less than that. You know, I want to be feminine. It's not just about opening the doors, but it's about being in a safe place, and overall spiritually just being happier. And I think the word is being more fluid. We'll say that, not in a sexual way, but fluid as far as transitioning and using all the characteristics from both sides of the energies.
Love it.
See,
That's good.
Well, what I'm gonna do, y'all, this week is just give more opportunities to others in my space, all right, and not judge what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to sound like, because I think that in my mind, or let's say the things that I do throughout the week or at work, whatever the case it is, oh, you need to do this. No, they don't need to do anything, but how individuals want to attack a situation, I want to give them the space and opportunity to do that in their own right, and not to judge how they're doing it, but to challenge them or challenge the desired result, if that makes sense. So, and it takes a lot, though, real talk. And I think for everybody, it takes a lot for us to, get outside of ourselves. And I want to say shout out to everybody that's been tuning in. Oh my goodness. Hold on. We got a person that says, I'm locking in with Herm. I'm not going to assume these ladies aren't strong enough. Who is this? Go on with your game. Go on with your game, brother. I know who that is. All right. So we got Brandon. He says our society capitalizes on binary conflict. Masculinity and feminine should be able to coexist like yin and yang. Absolutely. So, all right, Herm. Now, shit, I want to give you the final word, but I don't know, bro. Can you do it? Can you do it?
Yeah, man. You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ. Hey. All right, y'all. Don't make me regret this. Go ahead, Herm. What you got?
Hey. With this show, I hope that people got out of it, that there's no such thing as the weak one or the strong one. We need both to coexist. We need both, to be able to function in the society. So don't ever think because a man is crying that he's soft. I know I said that earlier, just joking around, but a man crying is not soft. It's not, and a woman lifting weights is not, toxic masculinity. Let's get away from those mindsets and understand that, we need everybody at their best, for a functioning society.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. There you go. Boy, I was sweating bullets. I'm like, man, you might say something stupid. But also, too, want to thank you, Miss Patrice, for being on. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes. And, helping us, actually not just helping us, helping out Miss Danny, too, right? Because she was the only one on here. But we do appreciate your contributions, right, to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do. Don't go anywhere, Patrice. But this is what we do, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully you have a good week. We will see y'all pretty soon. Right on? Yes, right on.